Hello, friends, and welcome to Final Fantasy III on Steam. I've been a semi-fan of Final Fantasy for a very long time. I played the original Final Fantasy on the NES and enjoyed it quite thoroughly. But this is a treat. Final Fantasy III didn't become playable in the US for a very, very long time. I think the best you could get was like a ROM translation for your emulator back in the day. And I did play that. I did want to check Final Fantasy III out, and so I went ahead and I grabbed the translated ROM and played it, and I actually beat it. It's like one of the few Japanese translated games that I've actually beaten. So I liked it. I didn't understand why it was never brought over. It might have been something to do with the job system, which was, I think, fairly alien in the US at this point. But it's one of my favorite systems in RPGs, period, is being able to switch between roles at a whim and level them up individually. It's just something about that. All that micromanaging does wonders for my heart. I can't say. Anyway, so I had Final Fantasy III for the DS briefly. Actually, no, technically I didn't own it. I borrowed it, played it for a little while, but it wasn't actually mine, and I had to eventually give it back. And I don't know, for whatever reason I didn't get into it anyway, but this looks a good deal like I remember it looking on the DS. Having played the translated ROMs, I think, yes, these are hidden passages here. One of the things, having played the translated ROM to playing the updated versions, versions plural, hey, awesome. One of the things that I can tell you for certain is that they changed a lot about the story. Just right off the bat. In the original NES version of the game, as I recall, and my memory could be fraudulent on this point, but it is what it is. I remember you fall into this hole, except all four of your main protagonists are already together, much like Final Fantasy I. They're already together, they already know each other, and you're all Onion Knights. Oh, hey. They've got the old school style hidden passageways where there's just nothing there, you're just running on black. So that's cool. Anyway, yeah, your characters were all Onion Knights, which was basically just, you know, the default class that didn't have any special bonuses whatsoever. You could do just about anything, but at a really low level. You could only cast low-level magic, you weren't particularly strong, or armored, or defensive, or any of that. And that class has been translated to the Freelancer, which is a much better name, because Onion Knight says nothing about the characters and so forth. Anyway, in this version, you start out as your main playable protagonist, and you meet your party members one by one. But you do still pick them up rather quickly. In fact, this is the fourth one. He's about to join me here. And all these people have not been, like, the graphics aren't off, and they've been turned into wireframes. No, that's not quite what's going on. They're all ghosts. And so they have this really kind of silly the faux outline going on, which is really funny to me. But anyway. So yeah, it came out on the DS, and then I guess it came to Android, but I never played it. I think it was ported from DS to Android, and it has since been ported from Android to PC. And at first I was reluctant, but then it went on sale for something like $8, and I simply could not turn it down at that point. I'm a sucker for the old school Final Fantasies. I think Final Fantasy II is legitimately my favorite. I could not say why that is. I think partially because the system can be broken, and I've got the soul of a cheater. Just because I don't handle frustration very well, and I think that's evident. You know, if you watch me play games with my friends, I don't really like to play competitive games because if I lose, I get frustrated, and if I get frustrated, I tend to blow a gasket, which is unfortunate because they don't deserve that, and I should be better than that. So, sorry, a bit of introspection there. Didn't expect that. But anyway, yes. Long story short, Final Fantasy 2 and 8, oddly, are among my Final Fantasy favorites, and both of them you can abuse the hell out of their systems to prematurely, I suppose, level yourself up. Like, I think Final Fantasy 2, what you do is you just have the characters all beat the crap out of each other. Like, you get the enemy party down to, like, one guy. And as long as they're, like, the wimpiest dude, like, all they do is come forward and attack, you know, maybe take a little bit of health off. Then you spend the rest of your... You sit in that battle for, like, an hour just having your characters slap the shit out of each other. And then healing each other back up, and then slapping the hell out of each other again. And, I think you can really tell that this was ported over. I'll get back to that, but I think you can really tell how this was ported over from Android, because the menu buttons are large enough so that you could press them on a touch screen. And I'll show you what I mean. See how big these menu selections are? They're huge. They don't need to be that big. But on a touchscreen, it makes more sense, because there'd be more space for you to make sure you hit it accurately. So anyway, yeah, on Final Fantasy 2, you would just slap the crap out of each other, and, you know, when you'd had enough, or when you'd run out of healing stuff, you would just kill the last guy. And then your characters would get a shit ton of upgrades, and be really strong. And, I just loved abusing the shit out of that system. I don't know why, I just did. I was like, I had a blast getting myself up to absurdly strong levels, and then just literally bum rushing through the game because nothing could stop you. Like, if you really wanted to be diehard about it, you could probably max out your stats before you even attempt the first dungeon. Yeah, that's how hardcore you could probably be, if I recall correctly. I may not, but it's just really funny to me. And Final Fantasy VIII, I used to cheat my ass off at that game. I would farm cards, and then there was an ability that allowed you to exchange cards for spells. And the way the card system worked, you could legitimately get cards that gave you access to spells that were way out of your league at the beginning of the game. Like, just spells you should not have. And you could in turn junction those spells to your abilities and make you ridiculously goddamn strong. Just like friggin' monster strong, you know? So, I enjoyed that thoroughly. Just checking through what my characters have access to at the moment, but I think we're all just attack monkeys at this point. I've given my main character the ability to cure, but I don't think that was very wise, because I've been sort of building him as a fighter instead. I should probably give those abilities to Grace, not that the girl automatically has to be the healer. In fact, I'm going to enjoy making Grace into, like, a walking tank later on. But, sorry Grace, if you happen to see this. And yes, I have to name the characters in the game after my friends. It's just something I do, so... It just makes it more personable to me. Even if the characters in particular don't really have anything to do with each other, like their actual personalities, like, I can tell you right now that Stevie's personality in real life does not match the personality of his character in this game, and same for Jorge, but I don't know. It's just very silly. Now, Grace, on the other hand, not terribly inaccurate. Oh, she's adorable. Anyway, so neither here nor there. So yeah, you could abuse the shit out of Final Fantasy VIII system as well. and I just loved doing that because, again, you could literally, like, bum rush through the game. You know, once you did, like, a tiny period of, like, little grinding at the beginning, then you could go through once you got through that, you could go through the entire game without grinding ever again. Like, Final Fantasy VIII had that ridiculously pointless draw system, which, not the greatest idea, all things being equal. But on the flip side of that, you never really had to draw. Like I said, you could exchange cards for spells or get them other ways. And you could also exchange cards for weapon parts to give you weapons that were way too advanced for your starting level. If you played it right. So, I don't know. I just really like the Final Fantasies that I can take advantage of. That sounds really bad, but it's true. I enjoy being OP, especially in these games. So, yeah, Final Fantasy III, not so much. You gotta earn every level and every job level that you want to get, but there's fun to be had there too, as long as you don't mind grinding. I believe there's an achievement for maxing out all the job levels for all the jobs. And my main character, Aaron, is literally going to take them one by one by one. Literally go down the list. And everybody else is going to form a team around whatever job he has at the time. And that's my game plan for this game. But I have not gotten to the part where I've unlocked jobs yet. So, I mean, we're all still freelancers and can't change at the moment. But I believe when I finish this quest to stop the Jinn, or Genie, or however the fuck you say that, once I stop him and turn everybody back into humans, I fully expect to be able to change jobs and whatnot, and have some fun with that. So yeah, I really enjoy Final Fantasy III. I think so far I prefer the NES version, but this isn't bad by any means. And I can't say why I prefer the NES version. This version has far superior music, though. I mean, don't get me wrong, I like the NES tunes back in the day, and Final Fantasy III probably had one of the better soundtracks on the NES, but music has just come so far, you really can't compare the two, at least in my mind. I think this stuff is better to listen to than that old stuff, and that's just the way I am. Not that I have anything against chiptunes or anything like that, I don't, but a well-made chiptune I will listen to on my iPod just the same as anything else. And yes, I still have an iPod, and shut up. So, it's interesting to look at this, now that I've been playing around with Unreal Engine 4, and just, like, literally just, I'm just thinking about what it would take to make a game like this in that engine, and I really don't know what I would do. I mean, I don't have enough experience with Unreal Engine 4 to be able to say for certain. Like, I'm just getting into blueprinting, which is Blueprint is the script for Unreal Engine. It allows you to do things outside of, it's just the normal. It allows you to create events, make things happen within the system. Yes, I'm grinding here, forgive me for just taking a moment and buffing my characters up. But these are the strongest enemies that have been easy to defeat for some time. But yes, I'm just getting into scripting now, and that's where I'm at the moment. I wanted to take a break while I downloaded some things, which would make it difficult to watch the YouTube tutorials, so I figured I would download and play Final Fantasy III and record this while I was waiting for the download to finish. Yeah, old school RPGs have really been going down the tubes, really. I mean, I guess they still exist in the form of, like, indie games still make these kind of old school menu-driven combat, you know, RPGs with overworlds and dungeons and towns and all the usual stuff. But I don't know, RPGs have come so far since then that they're like, games are marrying RPGs to other genres. They're marrying them to first-person shooters and you know, side-scrolling platformers and you know, just about anything you can imagine has got RPG elements in it nowadays. Strategy games, puzzle games, for God's sake, you know, just about anything. To the point where, you know, like, the idea of an RPG has been almost kind of subsumed into gaming as a whole. Like, almost every game nowadays has some kind of leveling up or customization of your character that used to be part and parcel of the RPG experience, and it's now everywhere. I mean, it is what it is, so... yeah, I think I'm gonna equip her with a bow. I think I'll go with the wooden arrows, just because. Save the holy... Oh. I'm sorry. Just gonna swap that out. I don't know how or why I did that. Sorry, brain fart. So anyway. Yes. Things. Things and stuff. No, I completely forgot what I was saying. Oh yes, RPGs. Kind of less and less nowadays. Not so much anymore. And still don't know why that is, honestly. I could not tell you. Well, as I was saying, I think part of it is that they're being subsumed into these other experiences. I'm just gonna rest up before I head on out. And yeah, good stuff. I don't know. You still see like some RPGs, like I guess there's like Reciteer and Item Shop Tale, which I've been meaning to check out, and I kind of still want to, because it sounds like an interesting twist on the genre in that, aside from adventuring to go look for items and so forth, but which you're mostly doing to find items to fill your stock with, you have to adventure and maintain your shop at the same time. It sounds interesting, and it certainly got recommended a lot. So we shall see about that. All right, the Sealed Cave, my first real dungeon. Now that I've got all of my party together and we are ready to rock and roll. Yeah, and there's also Hyperdimension Neptunia. It just got released on Steam not too long ago. I actually picked that up because the premise sounded really cool, and I also heard it was, I think the one they released is a remake of the first game. Maybe not a remake, but maybe closer to a port with some additional materials in it. I can't really say for sure off the top of my head, but that looked really interesting because the characters are all based on game companies like Nintendo and Sega and Sony, and it's literally kind of a takeoff on the game industry as a whole. So I'm interested to see how that all works out. It should be a fun time, but we'll see. I always hate back attacks. It always feels like a cheap kind of a cheap, crappy way to increase difficulty. But whatever. So yeah, you would think that the menu-driven combat would put me off, but maybe it's just because it's Final Fantasy. Maybe there's a lot of nostalgia factor talking, but the menu combat here does not put me off at all. I'm actually kind of enjoying myself and leveling up and giving my characters their actions one at a time. Something very welcoming and, you know, comforting about it in a very strange way. So, yeah, it's RPGs in a nutshell. I mean, I know RPG Maker is still a pretty big thing, and some really incredible games have been made out of it, like To the Moon was a big RPG Maker success, which is not really an RPG, I don't think. I'm not 100% certain, but I believe it's more of an adventure game than anything else. But again, I own it and I have not played it, which I need to get around to doing, but I'm too busy playing these old games that I've already played in a different form, so... Or, you know, approaching my 300th hour playing Payday 2. And I couldn't even tell you why I'm still doing that. I think a large part of it is the whole Skinner box thing of slowly leveling up and so forth. Again, it is what it is. I both like and hate that game at the same time. I have a very strong love-hate relationship with Payday 2. It frustrates me like few other games do, but at the same time, I keep going back. But yeah, I do enjoy this music. Even if my sound is suddenly taking a crap, I don't know what that's all about. It sounds a little bit rough. Yeah, just a little rough. I don't know what that's all about. Oh well. Maybe my recording software is having issues, although I couldn't fathom why. It was working great up until now. Okay, so... just wanted to check this wall. That color looked odd to me. I'm like, wait a minute. I smell hidden secret? Kind of, I guess? Maybe? Oh, don't... oh. Okay. This room is empty. Must be missing something. I hate these fake walls down at the bottom there. And... oh. I think I found me a switch. Kaboom. Done. Very cool. So... oh! Hello. Who is this? Yes, milady. Good heavens, milady. Okay, so yeah, getting into Unreal Engine 4 has been interesting. I was wary of paying what they're asking. They want $20 a month. Well, it's $19 a month, but $19 a month plus 5% of whatever royalties you make from selling products made with the engine. Now, I was tempted to get Unreal Development Kit instead, which would allow me to program and create stuff in Unreal Engine 3. But there are two obvious problems with that. One, it's not the most up-to-date engine, and there are probably many, many improvements in Unreal Engine 4 that I could not get in Unreal Engine 3. Now, considering that I am a solo game developer, at the moment I am literally a team of one, and I likely would be making very small projects anyway, it seems rather silly. But the other flip side is that Unreal Engine 4 has, to my knowledge, a very, very extensive set of video tutorials out. Now, I'm not saying that they don't exist for Unreal Development Kit. They probably do too. But having watched a few of those videos, I felt, just by looking at it, that I was comfortable with how Unreal Engine 4 worked. And a large part of that is thanks to my experience in Adobe Premiere and Adobe After Effects. Which have that very similar, now very familiar to me, you know, like, selection of windows that you can move and resize and reshape and move around and pop out and, you know, all that stuff. And again, for all I know, Unreal Development Kit or UE3 would work in very much the same way. In which case, I may change over just because it's free. You know, just to save that money that I'd be forking over every month. But oh, hello. Yay! After I just wasted my cure spell, thank you! But that's okay, this will get us back up to full or close? No, close. Anyway, yeah, I probably could have gone with Unreal Engine 3, but we'll see, and I still can, I can still change my mind. But it just seemed like there was a greater level of support, there was greater level of available resources, and who knows, you know, it could be insanely easy to get everything running in Unreal Engine 3, or 4, either way, we'll see, so far, I like what I've done with Unreal Engine 4, let me put it that way. So far, it has proven very easy to build an area in Unreal Engine 3, and I know how to make a lot of things that otherwise I would have not been sure how to create. You know, like sloped, you know, like ramp-like areas and things like that. And I can stretch and pull the geometry this way and that, whatever, you know, whatever I want to do. And I'm very pleased with that, and it's proven very, very easy to put together, and I'm really looking forward to... Oh, I found the guy. I found the guy. It's time to go. Oh, I didn't think that would set it off, but alright. Dun, dun, dun! Uh-oh. She has the ring of eternal ringship. Your bauble has no power over me now that I'm infused with the power of darkness, even though my eyes are blazing white. I was gonna say, you don't seem all that infused with darkness. Are you sure you're talking about the right thing? And I'm gonna have her cast Magic Blizzard for the first time. Come on, you got this. So yeah, we're gonna see what's going on with there. Unreal Engine 4 so far. I've already put up a video detailing the environment I was able to create in UE4 after just 6 hours, which is preposterous to me. I thought it would take a lot longer than that, but it actually turned out to be pretty freaking simple, and I'm very pleased with that. So, brain fart. I don't know what else I was going to say. Oh yes, what I'm planning on making with it. I've talked before about some of my ideas for games that I wanted to make. And first and foremost on that list, as anyone who has ever watched my videos for any length of time can guess, would be to make a Tex Murphy-style first-person adventure with FMV. In fact, I already have a design document that's about halfway completed, detailing and describing the characters' locations and puzzles, and even the conversations to some small degree. I haven't written everything yet, but I've figured out like a good portion, like maybe about a third of the conversations to be had in the game so far. I don't know, we'll see. Uh-oh, we all disappeared. What's going on? So yeah, I already have a design document being made up. And, that's so funny. No, I think, no, I don't think. I know, Jorge's girlfriend in real life is named Sarah. That's just funny to me. It's how one of those random things turned out, I guess. Anyway, so where was I? Yes, I have one of those already complete, but I am not going to make the mistake that a lot of game makers make. I am not going to try and make that game now, or even after I finish all the tutorials that Unreal Engine 4 has on offer. And they've got about 30 hours of them, so it's going to be a while. Even after I finish those tutorials, I'm not going to try and make that game. No, I am a big fan of the work of the Extra Credits group, and they're phenomenal. I don't want to use the phrase thought leader, but I can't think of the correct term off the top of my head. The game philosophy, game design philosophy, maybe? I don't know what you would call them, but they do a lot of videos, video essays on how to make game design better, like what would make games better as a whole. And they've done a lot of videos on a lot of intricate topics. And recently they did a small series about starting to make games, and one of the things they said that hit really strong with me was not to start too big. Like, that gets in the way of every single person who tries to get into games development on their own usually winds up in the position of making something too big and being unable to learn enough, I guess, to keep up with it, or what have you. And I just didn't want to make that mistake. I've been down that road. I know what it's like to overreach. And it almost always bites me squarely in the ass. So I'm taking their recommendation, and that is to start really small. Make a small game. Make a game that you can finish in a month. And that's what I'm shooting for. That's what I'm going to try to do. When I'm finished with all the tutorials, I have a plan for a very small, very easy first-person adventure game. It's going to take place in like a single room, but you'll need to do 3 puzzles to escape the room, and that's it. Like, really small, really simple. I'm not gonna charge anything for it. If I release it, I will release it for free. But it's going to be extraordinarily simple, because I just want to get a game out there. And my second game isn't going to be that giant Tex Murphy-style FMV adventure game either. It's going to be a slightly larger version of that. Maybe it'll take place in a semi-large house, you know. But I'm gonna build up to that. You know, I'm gonna get up to that level. And one of the first things I'm going to need to learn to do, something that I've never thought about until I started doing the tutorials, was actual, like, building design. Like, I'm like, how on earth would I... Oh, hello. Random... Oh, okay, job tutorial. So, hey, we need to explain this, because it just kind of happens in the game, and all of a sudden they have this ability, and no one in the game explains it, so we're gonna have my little cute little Koopo ass walk out here and tell you how it works. So now we can change jobs. Wanted to see if I could talk to the crystal, but I guess not. So yeah, so that's the plan. Start small, slowly get bigger. And at some point, if it seems like this is going to be a thing, if it seems like I could legitimately make this game, eventually, down a rather long road to get there, then I'm going to look into the possibilities of maybe a Patreon or a Kickstarter, something to either get me the talent that I need, like an artist. Dear God, I would need an artist to do anything, because holy shit do I know absolutely nothing about art. And I mean that in both the 2D and 3D frames. I would have absolutely zero idea how to build a 3D object of any kind and then texture it correctly. So, I don't know. I would either need to pay for their services, or I would need to buy assets. Literally just buy collections of, like, furniture and picture frames and what have you. So, yeah, you know. At some point I would need money to make all that happen. So Patreon or a Kickstarter would be probably the only option, but I don't know, that's down the road. I want to get the skills I need under my belt first, and that's a fairly tall order. But anyway, it's been about 30 minutes, so I think that'll do it for now. Thanks for watching and listening, and I will catch you guys next time. Don't forget to like and subscribe.